So this probably doesn't come as much of a surprise, but yes, getting rid of this car. For some background, if this is your first time stopping by, I picked up this 2005 Audi S4 in December of 2023 for next to nothing. But it came with one catch. It had no transmission. And it turns out it was missing pretty much everything else. So what was supposed to be just a weekend project of installing a spare transmission that I already had, it turned into a 6-month endeavor of refreshing the entire drivetrain and suspension. I did the notorious timing chains, all the gaskets and seals, the clutch and flywheel, the transmission, all of the suspension, including the subframes, CV axles, all the wheel bearings, brakes, and probably many other things I can't think of right now. And it turned out pretty good. I daily drove it for a couple thousand miles and had a pretty successful intro video to it. Thank you guys for watching that. And I even tracked it a couple of times. But that is where the honeymoon period ended.
First, I started throwing serpentine belts left and right, requiring multiple repairs at the track. Then I had some cooling issues. Then I had to remove the engine again for an oil leak. Then I got it all back together, professionally detailed, and surprise, something else broke. So, something that will be impossible to show on camera, so I'll just try to explain it here. I have some weird vibration in the steering that makes the car feel quite unsettled. So whenever I'm driving at speed, like anything over 30 miles an hour, if I'm turning right, anything past just like straight, I just feel this like really weird vibration and like resistance in the steering. The power steering pump doesn't sound very happy. So at this point, I'm kind of just throwing parts at it. I've checked all the suspension. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. So first, I've got new power steering components. I also got another subframe.
The power steering system in this car is driven off of the timing chains at the back of the engine, which of course means it's way back in there. So having the subframe out actually helps a bit, especially since I'm replacing everything in the power steering system aside from the rack itself. It is a bit frustrating that I could have replaced all of this while the engine was out of the car. But of course, basically the only component I didn't refresh under the hood ends up being problematic, and requires a bit of convincing. I also got new axles for both sides of the front. I don't know if that'll change anything, but I've had so much trouble with boots ripping or just like not sealing right here. And it's partially my fault for not doing a very good job of sealing them, but I'm stopping at no ends to fix whatever's going on with the steering in this car. So if an axle will do it, that would be awesome, but I doubt it. It'll just be nice to have two fresh axles from the same manufacturer made at the same time, because I had one on there that was probably original and another one that might have been on my other B6 and some other car before that. So I don't know, just replacing what I can, and the axles and the power steering pump are basically the only thing on the car that isn't new, besides the actual engine and transmission. But like all the accessories are basically new on this thing, so just narrowing down what else it could be. So got new axles too. Well, that did not fix it. And I'm back again. But might have some good news. I think it's a wheel bearing. Check this out. It's not supposed to do that.
It's looking like my fixed big brake calipers are so tight to the rotor that they didn't allow any noticeable play in the wheel when I checked it before. And it wasn't until I pulled the whole rotor off that I finally found our culprit. So I replaced that wheel bearing. Quite possibly the only easy repair, easy in quotations, I've done on this car. It does help that I've had these wheel bearings off recently. Otherwise that bearing would have been way more stuck in there.
And it's fixed. I can race again. It broke again.
This time I destroyed yet another engine mount. Turns out that two-step launching a car 25 times in one day is not the best for it.
I would say that is fucked. This is supposed to be one thing, not two things. So normally it sits in there and it looks like it just tore itself off. I bet this is a common issue on these things. And this was in one piece before, so actually this is one thing that went wrong due to my ownership, not previous. But the car does have over 160,000 miles, so I'm not too surprised that something like this would happen. It just sucks that it didn't happen before I took the engine out this last time. Like, if it would have just fallen apart like this when I was taking it out a month ago, wouldn't have been so bad. Then I would have just gotten new engine mounts, but could be worse. So this is going in the trash.
And although it's annoying, this does present the opportunity to upgrade to 034 density line engine mounts.
These things are great. They will keep the engine from rocking back and forth so much and will give it a much more responsive feel, which will translate to throttle response and shifter feel. And I've run these in multiple cars for several years and will continue to do so down the line if this car hasn't completely ruined me for Audis. And the cool thing is these things have a lifetime warranty. So if you're doing a bunch of two-stepping or something and one breaks, they'll replace it. But chances are, probably won't break.
And the final two touches to complete this car, a 034 silicone intake pipe, because why not? It's an easy upgrade. And a set of B5 RS4 replica wheels, which I think look pretty dang good.
So at this point you might have two big questions for me. First, why even sell a car after putting all of this time and effort into it just to get rid of it? And second, why would I be putting all this work into it to fix it if I am selling it? Well, I'm fixing all these things before I sell it because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the scumbag that sells a car in poor condition and lies through his teeth to the next guy just to screw him over. And why I'm getting rid of the car, I'm done with it. I kind of bought it on an impulse, but sort of with the idea of replacing my B6 A4 track car. Figured more horsepower and torque, and frankly a better looking car, would make for the perfect race car. I would take all of the upgrades to the suspension that I had on my A4, put them on this car, sell that car, and then I'd have the perfect race car. Turns out that a B6 S4 is like the worst possible pick for a race car. It's way too heavy, it's horrible to work on, parts are hard to find, and it's incredibly expensive to maintain. And it's not very fast. With all that being said, while it's not a race car, it is a great weekend daily driver fun car. And that's what it was meant to be. It makes all of the fun noises, it's fun to drive, and it's relatively agile. So I think if the next owner has that intention with this car, he's gonna enjoy it quite a bit. And I do want to point out that with all the times that it broke, it still made it home in one piece every single time under its own power. While the little things can break on this car, it can be pretty dependable, and if kept up, these engines will run for a long time. I bought it at 160,000 miles, hanging on for dear life. I don't think the timing was ever done. And now, after everything that I've fixed on it, I really think it could make it another 160K. And I hope it does. But I personally have no use for this car anymore, so it's going to somebody else. In the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I've worked out a deal with my friend Miles, where he has something I want, and I have something he wants. This car. And you'll never guess what I'm replacing this with. It's another Audi. But more on that in another video. I had a pretty fun and uneventful trip to the UP, thankfully. The trade went just fine. I have a new car now, more on that soon. And from what I hear, Miles has been enjoying the heck out of the S4, even daily driving it, which is awesome to hear that nothing has gone wrong and that somebody is just valuing all of the work that I've put into that car. So I'm sorry to the dedicated B6 fanatics out there watching this. That is the end of this chapter, and more than likely the end of B6s in general for me, at least for a while. Those cars take far too long to do anything with. You may have noticed throughout this video my hair and beard magically changing length, and the seasons changing throughout this video. Everything on that car takes forever to do, and it costs a ton. So it doesn't really lend itself well to a YouTube schedule, and just paying attention to the rest of my cars, it kind of sucked. You B6 guys, I really hope you stick around for the other cars I have on this channel. The car I replaced this with, and my B8, which has been part of the channel for the last 5 years. I really did enjoy the B6 S4 project. I had fun doing it, and it taught me a lot, but it also cost me a lot. So I'm happy I did it, but I'm happier now that it's gone. The biggest thing I'm gonna miss, it's probably obvious, is the sound of that 4.2 liter V8. There's not much that can beat that. So I will end this video with one lap of Audubon Country Club, just uncut, so you can enjoy the symphony of that naturally aspirated V8. In the next video, we'll get to this car's replacement. Thanks for watching.